This week, the Trump administration cut 10,000 jobs from U.S. health agencies, so let's talk about what this means for public health. For some background, these layoffs are part of the whole let's downsize government and make it more efficient initiative, which is a really funny way of saying, hey, we promised billionaires huge tax breaks, and in order to follow through with that, we need to screw everyone else over. Some of the programs eliminated by these layoffs at the CDC focused on smoking, lead poisoning, asthma, air quality, occupational health, and gun violence, which, mind you, is the leading cause of death for kids aged 15 to 18. But yeah, let's ban transgender kids from high school sports because it makes my kid feel more safe. Are you fucking kidding? What I'm trying to say is that now more than ever, it is so crucial to push back. The health and safety of Americans depends on a strong public health system. Call your representatives, call your senators, share this with your friends, and most importantly, trust science. Not RFK Jr. Let me know what you think about these layoffs in the comments down below, and as always, follow along for more public health content.
Major news today that American companies are already laying off workers because of Donald Trump's disastrous tariffs. Here are the two companies that have laid off workers in the hours after Trump's announcement. First, Stellantis, who makes Ram trucks and Jeeps, said on Thursday it was temporarily laying off 900 workers at 5 U.S. facilities. Now, what does temporarily mean? We don't know, but it seems they might be permanent if these tariffs stay in place, which Trump is telling us they will. Also, Whirlpool in Iowa announced their largest layoff of 2025 in their Amana manufacturing facility. This is what happens when you implement tariffs as haphazardly as the Trump administration has done. The costs of goods that companies use in their products, even if they're made in America, go up. That is the reality of tariffs, and the reality of this situation is that your goods, my goods, will go up because of one guy, his name, President Donald J. Trump.
The operation isn't over, you fucking dingbat. You just started slicing. We are not even at the beginning of comprehending the amount of economic devastation you just ushered in for shits and giggles. The fucking irony of him using healthcare as a metaphor for these tariffs at the same time that massive layoffs are happening at HHS. Wow. Speaking of layoffs, Stellantis, which manufactures Dodge Rams and Jeeps and has a huge manufacturing facility in Kokomo, Indiana, is one of the first major employers to announce layoffs today in response to Boss Baby's tariffs. When the tariffs were first announced, we knew that states like Indiana, states that rely heavily on the manufacturing industry to employ its people, were going to be hit the hardest. And here we are, one of the first layoffs announced, affecting Indiana workers. Make sure you keep that in mind anytime you hear our president or one of his minions talk about the short-term pain for the long-term gain of these tariffs, because guarantee they are not going to be feeling any pain. All of the pain, all of the sacrifice is going to be from us, the regular working American people.
There's a lot of people out here celebrating these federal workers getting fired like they just won something. But you're missing the point, and we're going to get there, but let me set this up. The federal government is the largest employer in the United States. It's bigger than Walmart, it's bigger than Amazon, it's bigger than your former friend's MLM company. But here's the thing, these former federal workers aren't being executed, they're not being shot into space. They're entering the job market, which means they're about to start competing for jobs. You know, your job. And lately there's been this celebratory energy coming from certain corners of the political spectrum every time a large group of federal employees get let go. Real quick, let's compare. Your resume says that you're a team player and you can lift 50 pounds. Their resume says they've negotiated multilateral arms deals and are fluent in 3 languages. Now, no shade to wherever you worked before, but anyone with a functional brain that's hiring people are going to think the stakes were slightly higher at, say, the State Department. And let's not forget, they all have college degrees, and it might not mean anything to you, but it certainly does to almost every employer. So you can laugh it up while these federal workers lose their job, but just know, you're not watching your enemies disappear, you're watching your new competition arrive. So good luck out there.
If you've been fired or laid off from the federal government, here are 3 things you should do. Hi, I'm Tom Spiegel with the Spiegel Law Firm. people been fired or afraid that they might be. Number one, read the letter. I know sometimes it's difficult. You know you're getting fired. You get the letter. You don't want to read past the first two sentences because it's too painful. But read the letter. There's some reporting that the USAID notices were incorrect and had incorrect information. Number two, compare it to the details in your SF50. Does it have your correct levels, your correct social security number, your correct compensation? Because a mistake there can cost you. And number three, if any of the details are incorrect or it's unclear, contact your HR department or somebody within the agency to get those corrected, because it can mean real money in your pocket.
Hey everybody, Democrat Matt with a quick rant. So let's talk about how Trump's new tariff policy and general economic policy is already screwing American families on day one of liberation. Stellantis, parent company of Chrysler, announced today they are closing a plant in Mexico, they are closing a plant in Canada, they are closing a plant in Warren, Michigan, and besides all that pain, they are going to lay off an additional 900 workers nationwide because there is not going to be a demand for parts and components for assembly lines. Don't know how long the shutdowns are going to be. They could be 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, who knows. Whirlpool in Iowa also announced a substantial layoff today. And word on the street is that a layoff notice is coming either Friday or Monday from General Motors, about on the scale of the Stellantis layoff. This is only the beginning of the pain, folks. And I can't believe, for a minute, I can't believe that the UAW is excited about these tariffs and excited about what this guy is doing. I said this just yesterday, on my live show. They are going to take a beating when it comes to workers getting laid off due to this 25% auto tariff policy and other policies that are in place that are going to choke off components or make things so expensive that are coming in from other countries that it's not going to be profitable for companies to build cars here. Trump thinks that manufacturing is going to return. Manufacturing is going to shut down and go underground. This is only the beginning of the pain. And by the way, Dow futures down again tomorrow, and it's going to keep trending in that direction until further notice. These guys think that their base somehow has the resources to ride this out. Fox News saying things like, it's patriotic to pay more for American goods. Really? I want you to go out and try and sell that to the average Trump voter and see what they come back at you with. Good luck with that.
We got to talk about federal government employees and programs continuing to get slammed as the Trump administration's pushing forward with sweeping changes. Now, the latest example being the Department of Health and Human Services, which is run by RFK Jr., and roughly 10,000 workers were laid off yesterday across its various agencies and programs. Or with some programs like the Administration for Community Living seemingly having all of their staff fired after they were turned away when they tried to show up to work yesterday. And that program, it helps run senior living centers and also runs the Meals on Wheels program, which is credited with giving 216 million meals a year to the disabled and elderly. With the former head of that group under the Biden administration, Allison Barkoff, telling outlets, the programs that ACL implements improve the lives of literally tens of millions of older adults, people with disabilities, and their families and caregivers. There's no way to have these layoffs and not impact the programs and the people who rely on them. And of course, this is other programs run by the HHS have also effectively been gutted, where the Division of Energy Assistance reportedly had its entire staff laid off, meaning that programs like LIHEAP, which helps 5.9 million low-income families pay for heat and cooling bills, they're left in complete limbo.